Once upon a time, after Onome, the beautiful slave girl, was brought into the palace, the air around King Uche began to change. Not in the way you might expect. He did not become softer, nor did he become kinder. Instead, a deep, unsettling restlessness took root in his soul. Something within him was stirring, disturbed by her presence. To understand why, we must venture into the king's deepest secret. Deep beneath the throne room, there was a chamber no one was allowed to enter, not his most trusted chiefs, not his guards, not even the royal priests. It was a forbidden space, a place where the king's true fate had been sealed long ago. Inside this room, the air was heavy with ancient magic. Old cowries, soaked a dark, ominous color, were scattered across the floor. In the center stood a stone altar, a deep crack running through its middle as if struck by a powerful force. But the most terrifying object was a mirror. This was no ordinary mirror. It reflected faces wrongly, twisting and distorting the features of anyone who dared to look into it, revealing the rot within their soul. This room held the origin of the curse that plagued King Uche. When Uche's father desperately wanted the throne of Alegbo, he sought out a powerful and feared oracle. The oracle granted his wish but demanded a terrible generational price. The prophecy was declared, the king will rule long, but love will rot on his skin. And so it was. The curse was one of power without affection, of authority. Without warmth, it guaranteed a long reign, but condemned the ruler to a life devoid of genuine connection. Every woman who had ever come close to King Uche, whether by marriage or arrangement, felt the chilling touch of this curse. They either fled the palace in terror or were slowly driven to madness, their spirits broken by the suffocating loneliness that surrounded the king. But with Onome, things were different, the spirits that enforced. The curse noticed something strange about this girl. She did not recoil, she did not show fear. This was because Onome was not ordinary. Her lineage was steeped in spiritual power. Her mother had been a revered river priestess, and her father had died a hero, protecting a sacred grove from desecration. At her birth, Onome was secretly washed in forbidden waters, ancient, mystical waters, known to neutralize certain powerful curses. This sacred ritual had balanced her spirit, giving her an inner fortitude that made her immune to the dark aura that drove others away. That was why she did not flinch when she first saw the king's face. She saw beyond the surface. Before Onome, there had been a queen. Her name was Adanma. She was beautiful and politically savvy, and her marriage to Uche was a strategic alliance, not a union of love. Soon after their wedding, the curse began to take its toll on her. She was plagued by horrifying nightmares, consumed by a constant gnawing fear that eventually tipped into madness. Desperate, she sought out the very same oracle that had crowned Uche's father. The oracle offered her a sliver of hope, revealing the only way the curse could be broken. It told her the curse can be broken only by a woman who sees the man, not the crown. Adanma, driven by her ambition, tried to fake love. She performed the role of a devoted wife, hoping to fool the ancient powers. But spirits cannot be deceived. They saw the falsehood in her heart, and her attempts were rejected. Adanma died a broken woman, childless and alone, but her grieving shadow was said to still linger in the palace corridors, a sad whisper of what could have been. Now it was Onome's turn to be tested. One night King Uche, his mind churning with a mixture of curiosity and dread, ordered Onome to bring him a cup of water in his private chambers. This was the room with the cursed mirror. As Onome entered, the mirror began to shake violently, its surface swirling with dark energy. The king watched her intently, his heart pounding in his chest. Every woman before her had screamed and fled at the sight of the grotesque reflection it showed. But Onome did not scream. She walked calmly towards the mirror, looked directly into the distorted image of the king, and her voice was steady as she spoke. "You are wounded," she said softly, "but you are still alive." In that instant, the mirror went completely still. The dark energy receded. For the first time in his entire reign, King Uche felt his hands tremble. It wasn't from anger or fear, but from a feeling he had long forgotten. For the first time, the ancient curse had hesitated. A new and unfamiliar emotion gripped King Uche, fear, but it was not the fear of rejection which he had grown accustomed to. It was the fear of hope. Hope was a dangerous, fragile thing, and he had learned to live without it. He turned to Onome, his voice low and strained. "Do not pity me," he warned her. Pity weakens both the giver and the receiver. Onome met his gaze without flinching. Her reply struck him with more force than any insult or plea he had ever heard. "I do not pity you, my king," she said. "I see you." Those 4 words echoed in the silence of the chamber, cutting through decades of loneliness and despair. To be truly seen, not as a king, not as a monster, but as a man, it was a feeling so powerful it terrified him. But this profound shift did not go unnoticed. In the bustling halls of the palace, whispers began to spread like wildfire. The other palace women, who had either failed to win the king's favor or been cast aside, grew intensely jealous of the slave girl. The king's chiefs, ever protective of tradition and power, grew suspicious. "A mere slave girl is softening the king," they murmured in the shadows, "and soft kings lose their thrones." In the kingdom of Alegbo, a place that feared change more than it feared cruelty, these whispers were dangerous. Quietly, in secret meetings, plots began to form. An unknown power was shifting the balance in the palace, and those who benefited from the old ways were not going to let it happen without a fight. That night the royal drums beat again, but the rhythm was different. It was slower, heavier, a deep and foreboding sound that echoed the turmoil in the spiritual realm. The ancient curse had finally met resistance. The throne itself, and the dark magic that protected it, felt threatened. And as history has always taught us, when power feels threatened, blood is never far behind. The story is far from over. Join us for part 3, where we will reveal the conspiracy that forms against Onome, the impossible choice King Uche must make between his crown and his heart, and the ultimate question: can love truly break a curse forged in ancient magic? Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the dramatic continuation of Uche the Ugly King and Onome the Beautiful Slave Girl. Thanks for watching.